everybody, today is a very special episode because it's the 200th video I will be putting on this channel, and to celebrate I'm going to be reviewing this Couture Overbust made by Sparklewren. So here's the front, the side, the back, and the other side. The center front is 10.5 inches, and from the very peak of this, what I like to call the butterfly wing, down to the bottom of the corset is 21 inches. Very, very high here. This is quite the plunge corset, so because of this nature, I will not be doing a bust test today. If you have a habit of migrating out of your bras or anything, then I would actually recommend, if you're wearing a corset that has this amount of plunge, that you would wear double-sided or toupee tape on the inside of your corset just to keep you safe. This is very much a long line corset coming low over my hips. However, this dip right there allows me to sit down quite comfortably. You can see that the iliac crest is well defined right around here, and that's very convenient because it means that there's no pinching on my hips. It also contributes to a really beautiful silhouette. And one of my favorite features about Sparklewren's Overbust corsets is that many of them have this sweetheart feature in the top back. From the profile, this corset is quite flat, which I really like because it is actually kind of true to my natural shape when I'm not wearing a corset. My natural body shape is such that I'm wider from when you're looking at me head on, but I'm very flat in the profile. And when I'm wearing some other corsets, I'll notice that they'll pinch me in from the side so that I have an hourglass figure when you're looking at me head on. However, when you look at me in the profile shot, I will look actually bigger than I naturally do when I'm not wearing a corset. However, I find that this corset maintains my natural profile while still shaving off a few inches on the sides here, and I can actually cinch down to 23 inches more comfortably in this corset than say 25 inches in one of my off-the-rack corsets. That's the difference of a custom-made corset. So here's a corset laying flat, and for the material of this, the fashion fabric is this cranberry or wine colored silk charmeuse, and I chose this color myself. I went onto the Silk Baron and ordered a number of swatches, and so I could analyze them in person and put them against my skin and make sure that they matched. I originally wanted something in a cream or a mushroom color, something really light and elegant. Of course, red is still elegant, but something a little creamier. But realized that it looked terrible against my skin, so I just went with a nice safe color of red that coincidentally ended up being the exact same color as one of Sparklewren's previous Overbust corsets in a very similar shape. The strength layer of this corset is 100% cotton herringbone couture, and then on the inside here you can see that it's lined in black cotton. Now, Sparklewren had given me the option to line it in silk. However, I know that silk can sometimes break down when it's rubbed against the skin or absorbs oils from the skin, so I decided to go for cotton because it's a little sturdier, and so I would be hoping that the liner would last a little longer that way. Laying this corset on its side is a little difficult to do because it wants to curve over something round. But the construction of this, it has a 6-panel pattern. It's kind of hard to see because of all the boning channels, but let me line them up for you. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and you can see it goes over curves absolutely beautifully. It fits me perfectly. For the actual assembly of these, the panels were top stitched together. The bones themselves are sandwiched in between 2 layers, so they're not internal or external. And then on the inside here, the liner is completely floating. Holding this on an angle, you can see that there is a 1-inch wide waist tape running through the entire width of this corset here, stitched invisibly and hidden in between 2 layers. And here's a close-up of the binding, and you can see it's very thin. It's thinner than most bindings that I have. It's only about a 1/4 inch wide, and you can see that it is hand finished on the inside, so you don't see any seam stitches over top or anything. Very, very nice, clean finish. There is a Modesty panel included in this corset, suspended on the laces with this piece of ribbon here. It is 4 inches wide. That's well wide enough for me since I can close this corset completely in the back. Really, it just serves to protect my back from any friction burn when I'm doing up the laces. It's made from 2 layers. The silk charmeuse on the outside and the cotton on the inside is hand bound on top and bottom to match the rest of the corset, and it's stiffened with what feels like a very thin sheet of plastic. There is also a Modesty placket on the front side of the busk here. The busk itself is a very heavy duty busk. It is 10 inches long and a full 1 inch wide with 5 pins here. Very stiff, very sturdy. You don't even really need to reinforce it, although Jenni did reinforce it with another several bones beside it and extending all around the rest of the corset. And speaking of bones, this corset is continuously boned, which means there are so many bones in here that you probably cannot put another one in here anywhere. This has 64 bones that I've counted, not including the busk, and it's a mixture of bones. So I think there is a 1/4 inch wide flat steel bone on either side of the busk. That's what it feels like. And there is also a 7mm wide spiral steel bone, at least that's what it feels like, on the seam of each panel, while in the middle of the panels it seems to be continuously boned with very fine 5mm wide spiral steel bones. And then of course in the center back here you can see that there are some very heavy duty 3/8 inch wide flat steel bones on either side of the grommets. And I had gone into detail about the embellishment in my unboxing video of this corset. However, here's just a close-up of some of the lace on here. Everything is hand sewn down. You cannot see a single stitch around here. Very, very carefully done. And it kind of is laid organically around, even though it's perfectly symmetric here. And it extends around the back as well. It's not too plain around the back. You can see that the lace comes down even through the grommets here. However, in the kind of vastness of the red, you can also see that there are a few accent pieces, a little bit of accent flossing. And once again, Jenni and I had together chosen these little motifs here. She had made a few samples and asked me to choose which one I liked best. So really this was probably the most bespoke piece I've ever ordered. And you can see that she goes into such detail that she even went to trouble of flossing the top here, even though it's not entirely obvious because it's black thread on black lace. It's still, the more you look at this, the more intricate it looks. It's like looking into a fractal or something. It's beauty from far away and it's beauty from close up. And here's a close-up of the grommets. Well, actually they are 5mm two-part prim eyelets. There are 32 of them, 16 on each side. You can see that they're set fairly equidistantly at the very top and the bottom. However, closer to the waist, they're put closer together so that you have more control when cinching down, which I really appreciate. Beautifully set. I think it's all set by hand and there's absolutely no ripping, no tearing away from the fabric, no catching of the laces. Under the Modesty panel, just taking a little peek at the underside of the grommets, you can see they've all rolled really beautifully. Absolutely no catching of the laces on here. Really set well, and I don't think they're ever going to pull out. 1/4 inch wide flat cotton laces. I love these. You can get a really good grip to them. Even when I'm cinching down, like I don't even have to tie the bow, and the laces just have enough friction amongst themselves that it keeps the corset closed. So I really appreciate that when I'm trying to lace down myself. If for a special occasion, I might change it with some matching satin or red ribbon or something like that. However, I think the black goes quite nicely with all the embellishment on this corset that I feel that I don't really need to change the laces for most of the time. So I hope you enjoyed this review of the Couture Sparklewren Overbust corset. Thank you for celebrating my 200th video with me on this channel. If you have any questions about this corset, then please leave a comment down below. I'd be happy to get back to you. And I'll see you all in a few days with the next video. Bye.